Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Congressman Roberts. Thank you very much, and colleagues from that side, as indicated. My name is Ben Phiri. I'm a member of Parliament in Malawi. I'm the Vice Chairperson of Parliamentary Committee on Public Appointments. I'm a former Cabinet Minister of Local Government and Rural Development. I sit as the Chairperson of the Parliamentary Caucus for the Southern and Eastern Africa on Sexual Reproductive Health. All this puts me at a position where I understand where resources and trade that could be used by our people on the needs that we have are not being used because of trade-based money laundering. You will discover that there are a few articles in my country where a Minister of Finance in my country comes out to concede that about $700 million in illicit financing is being exported out of my country every single year. We have had recoveries that were deemed to be, but they never were. And everybody was questioning. We had a $750 million vanishes in the thin air. And for us to reclaim that money in Africa, it poses to be a challenge. Now, the issue we are discussing in this conference, illicit financing, in particular trade-based money laundering, is a war to Africa. Whilst you're considering the Ukraine war, whilst you're considering all other wars everywhere, in Africa, we've got a war in as far as trade-based money laundering and illicit financing is concerned. And as Africans, we cannot come, fly all the way to this capital and go back without resolutions. That will not be, and it will demotivate people. We need to come here, come up with deliverables, come up with resolutions on how we can reclaim the money that have been going out through trade-based or financial illicit flows as it may be. As a matter of background, let me tell you that a number of reports, to begin with a report by the high-level panel chaired by former President of South Africa, Thabo Mbeki, depicts, that's of 2010, depicts that about $189 billion every single year leaves Africa for capitals that are not known. 189 billion. The Global Alliance, the Globe South of the United States, further shocks us because it puts the amount to about $250 million out of Africa through trade-based and illicit financial flows. And as Africans, we're saying we can no longer allow it. As members of Parliament, we are saying we can no longer allow it. That's a more reason why Africans have been tend to be beggars when actually they are endowed with a lot of resources that can build their capitals, that contain and help their countries achieve the sustainable development goals without necessarily requiring aid from somewhere else on the recurrent budgets. But that's the case at the moment. We are beggars when we've got minerals, and we are beggars when we've got resources, and we are saying time has got to come, and probably that time is now through the initiative that Congressman Roberts is taking. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable members, allow me to bring to your attention some of the imbalances and flows that we have, one of which are what they call mineral samples. So there would be investor would come in a country like Malawi and claim to be wanting to look at our minerals, the levels and everything. They will collect samples in there. At some point, a full container load of minerals, and you will never see them coming back into your country. They are testing them. They have gone to check the content, the value, and everything, a full container load, and nothing comes back into a country. That's trade-based money laundering. And what we're saying is, don't we have laws? We have laws in country. But what are we doing at international level? Our colleagues from the West, our colleagues from the South, parliaments and capitals, who you oftentimes aid us, are you willing to cooperate with Africa to make sure that such are able to be repatriated back to where they belong? We've got cases of misinvoicing, where first-grade commodities from Africa are taken out of Africa, and then they are qualified to be second grade as they go. That's money laundering. But when you get on the market, you find that they are being sold just like first grade. When getting them from Africa, they connive to make them second grade. A very good case are prawns from Mozambique. Very good prawns. They live in there. They, as second grade, they get out. They are first grade on the international market. And Mozambique, Malawi, and African countries remain poor, being abused, the trade that never was. Recently, last year, our Attorney General in Malawi pushed a letter to American government to claim compensation of minerals amounting to $319 million that a company in a gem house company in Vancouver took advantage of, and it weren't. Now, what is wrong with Africa? Traders, investors have taken advantage of gaps within the laws and expertise within the resources that we have. And we are calling on, that's why we're saying, Congressman, we thank you for this initiative. Not many parliament has got caucuses of illicit financial flows in Africa. We call on caucuses in all parliaments to begin to discuss elements of illicit flows as it may be. You may appreciate, honorable members and congressmen, that the challenges that our colleagues from the West, from Europe and others would have may not necessarily be the same challenges Africa would have. When the African team under your leadership gets together and begin to discuss the illicit flows that they have, they'll be able to flush out issues within countries and come up with resolutions, and we'll be able to lobby parliaments across the countries to help us break the barrier that has made Africa poor as it stands today. The other imbalance, trade imbalance that is there, are archaic trade agreements that have been there. I'll give a good example. Double taxations, for example. You will find that some of us who were under the British colony, we have got what we call double taxations on different commodities. I'll give a good example of tea. The fact is, how many Malawian companies will be able to get into a country in Europe, to be able to get into a country in the Western world, register a company and be able to trade? Out of 10, you will find 1. But how many companies from the West, from Europe and from all over will leave their country and go to Africa and trade? You'll find that so many of them will be able to find, because they've got capacity in terms of resources, they've got capacity in terms of knowledge, they've got capacity in terms of market, they'll be able to come to Africa, open up their country, companies, be able to trade. Now, if we are talking about double taxation, what that means is the 20 companies that have left Europe, that have left the West to come to Africa are not paying taxes there. They're not paying taxes. And only one company from Africa, one company from a country is operating in Britain, it was operating in America. It doesn't work. Can we balance this thing to make sure that even Africa tends to benefit in some of these treaties that we're talking about, to make sure that the money that is lost is claimed, and that Africa stop begging but becomes productive. May I conclude by making a call that we come out with deliverables, we come out with resolutions, so that we are able to track down the progress that we're making. When we meet again, whether in Taipei, whether next year we meet again, we should be able to say, do we have a tick box? What is it that Africa you've managed to deliver? What is it that we have delivered in this sector? What is it that we have delivered in this sector? That way, we shall deal with the illicit financial flows decisively, in an affirmative way, and this shall become history. But if we don't, we shall continue to do the same thing time and again, year in, year out, and nothing. We shall no register, no progress at all. And I stand here to say, I shall not be part of a discussion that does not make progress. Africa must rise, and I represent one that is going to rise and deal with trade and money laundering decisively, affirmatively, until we arrest the fires, because Africa is poor, because we cannot take such malpractices head on. I thank you.